Okay, so for today's deep dive, I want you to conjure up a, a very specific, maybe slightly chaotic mental image with me.
Uh-oh. I'm already intrigued.
I want you to picture three things all happening at once. First, you've got the soft, rhythmic scratching of Bob Ross's paintbrush on a canvas.
Okay, classic. Calming.
Second, the sort of white noise hum of a hairdryer, like right near your ear at a salon. And third, you have to stick with me on this one, watching a stranger on the internet eat a really, really crunchy pickle.
Wow. You've definitely curated a specific vibe there. That is quite the mix of sensory inputs.
It is. But I want to ask you, and you listening, if just imagining those sounds gives you a strange kind of specific sensation, not an emotion, but a physical feeling, maybe a static-like tingling that starts right at the top of your scalp and it just sort of shivers down your neck and melts your spine. Because if you're nodding along right now, if you felt that little ghost of a shiver, you're not hallucinating. And you're definitely not alone.
Right. We were talking about ASMR.
Exactly. Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Now, I've got to be honest. For a long time, I put this in the same bucket as, I don't know, ghost hunting or something.
Sure.
I thought it was just this weird niche internet thing where people whisper into fancy microphones for attention. It just felt very online.
And a lot of the scientific community, at least initially, it was so easy to write off as a placebo or just a personality quirk. But the stack of research we have today is surprisingly rigorous.
Yeah, this isn't just Reddit threads.
No, not at all. We have fMRI brain imaging studies, real physiological data on heart rates, skin conductance, and some really fascinating evolutionary psychology papers.
And that's our mission today. We're going to move past the whole it feels nice surface level. We're going to figure out why this happens. We'll look at the hard biology behind the tingles, the really surprising neurological link to ADHD, and get this, the hatred of sound. And finally, why some researchers think this whole digital trend might actually be a modern evolution of monkeys picking bugs off each other.
Which is, frankly, my favorite theory in the entire stack. It completely reframes it from weird internet thing to ancient biological need.
So let's get into it. Before we look at the brain scans, we need to agree on what this feeling actually is. Because for people who don't feel it, ASMR sounds totally made up. How does the research define it?
It's actually quite specific. It's not just chills like you get from a great song. That's a different thing called frisson.
Right.
The sources all describe ASMR as a paresthesia, which is, a fancy word for a static-like sensation. And it almost always follows a specific path. It starts at the scalp, moves down the back of the neck, and then spreads to the upper spine and sometimes your arms and legs.
So it's directional. It actually flows.
Exactly. And it's triggered by specific things, which we call triggers. Whispering is the big one, of course. Tapping on objects, glass, wood.
But also personal attention, right? The videos where someone looks into the camera and pretends to give you a haircut or something.
Right. And that seems simple enough. Someone pretends to care for you. Your brain releases the happy chemicals. But when you look at the study by Purio and her colleagues, the body's reaction is, well, it's pretty contradictory. It's not just relaxation.
Okay.
This is the paradox of ASMR. This is where it gets really cool. So the team hooked participants up to physiological monitors. Now, normally, if you're relaxing, say, doing yoga, your heart rate goes down, your arousal levels drop. You kind of power down.
Yeah, you go into standby mode.
Exactly. And they found ASMR does lower heart rates significantly. We're talking an average drop of about 3 to 4 beats per minute.
Okay, wow.
To put that in context, that's similar to what you see in, clinical mindfulness-based stress reduction.
So it works. It physically calms the heart.
It does, but, and here's the twist, while the heart was slowing down, skin conductance went up.
Skin conductance?
Yeah.
So translating for the rest of us, that's basically sweaty palms.
Right. In a sense, yeah. It's a measure of autonomic arousal. It's what happens when you're excited or alert or focused on something intense. It's the metric a lie detector test uses.
Wait, so the heart is saying sleep, but the skin is saying pay attention.
Precisely. It's this really complex emotional response. The body is physically calming down, like putting a brake on stress. But at the same time, there's a spike in emotional arousal. The researchers compare it to the state of flow, when you're totally absorbed in a task, or even the feeling of deep nostalgia. You're not zoning out. You're hyper-engaged, but totally relaxed.
That is such a specific headspace. It's like being wide awake and fast asleep at the same time.
And the brainwave data, it really backs that up. We have EEG studies showing that people experiencing ASMR have increased alpha waves.
Which are the chill waves.
Right. Alpha is for rest, relaxation, that state right before sleep. But they also saw increased gamma waves.
Now, I usually think of gamma waves with like high-level processing. When you're solving a complex math problem or something.
Exactly. Gamma is for attention and focus. So you get this unique neurological cocktail, the deep relaxation of alpha and the intense focus of gamma. One source actually compared ASMR to binaural beats. You know those audio tracks that are supposed to hack your brainwaves?
Yeah, I've tried those for studying.
Well, this research suggests ASMR might be even more effective for certain types of stress because of that gamma spike. It engages the sensory motor cortex. It's not a passive numbing of the brain. It's an active form of focus that results in calm.
It's active relaxation. That's a great way to put it. Because I think people assume you just turn your brain off, but you're actually intensely focused on the sound of the tapping or the whisper.
You are. You're attending to the stimuli.
Speaking of relaxation, there was one comparison in the notes that, I have to be honest, I had to read twice. We're always told, if you're stressed, go outside, touch grass.
Nature therapy, it's the gold standard.
But this one study compared ASMR videos to nature videos. And what happened? This was the shocker. They compared the physiological response, specifically pulse rate of watching ASMR to watching, a babbling brook or a forest walk.
Right.
And the ASMR videos reduced pulse rates more than the nature videos did.
That is wild to me. You're telling me that biologically, my body finds a video of a woman folding towels more relaxing than a beautiful forest?
According to the pulse rate data.
Yeah? That just feels wrong. Or at least counter-revolutionary. We spend millions of years in nature. Why would watching someone tap on a hairbrush be a stronger biological break than a river?
Because nature doesn't groom you.
Okay, unpack that.
This brings us to the social grooming hypothesis. This is a theory that kind of ties it all together. Think about primates. Think about apes sitting together, picking through fur, removing bugs.
The classic National Geographic shot.
Right. But that behavior isn't just about hygiene. In fact, most of the time, it's not about hygiene at all. It's the main way they bond. It signals safety. It signals, I'm here, I'm close to you, and I am taking care of you.
And that physical closeness releases oxytocin, endorphins. It's a survival mechanism. If you're being groomed, you're not being eaten. You are safe.
So when I'm watching a video of someone pretending to do a cranial nerve exam or whispering into one of those microphones shaped like an ear, my lizard brain thinks I'm the monkey being groomed.
Essentially, yeah. It creates a sense of proximity. One of the studies highlighted that audio-visual stimuli, so seeing and hearing the trigger, produced much stronger tingles than audio alone. You need that visual cue.
But you have to see the groomer.
Exactly. You need to verify that someone is in your personal space. Even though it's through a screen, your brain interprets those soft sounds and close-up visuals as a signal that someone is right there and they're non-threatening.
That actually explains the whole roleplay genre of ASMR, which I always found the weirdest. The videos where they're a doctor or a makeup artist, I always thought, why would I watch someone pretend to measure me for a suit?
Because it implies care. It makes perfect sense under this hypothesis. One of the qualitative studies in our stack had these incredible interviews with ASMR users. One of them described it as real intimacy tailored to me.
Tailored to me. Wow, that's a powerful phrase.
It is. Users described the ASMRtist, the creator, as almost like a maternal figure or a caring friend. In a world where we're all increasingly isolated, this offers a simulation of intimacy, but without the risk.
Without the risk, what do you mean?
Well, real intimacy is messy, right? It requires you to reciprocate. You have to talk back. You have to worry about how you look or if the other person likes you. With ASMR, it's totally one way. You're just the passive recipient of care.
That reminds me of the comparison to meditation in that study. I've tried mindfulness apps, and honestly, I fail at them. My brain just shouts at me the whole time.
Oh, yeah. The monkey mind.
Totally. Am I doing this right? My nose itches. But the participants in the study said ASMR is easy meditation.
That's a crucial distinction. Mindfulness requires effort. You have to actively work to clear your mind. With ASMR, you just have to receive. It's a passive hijack of the relaxation system. The video does the work for you by tapping into that grooming response.
Okay, so we've got a passive way to hijack the brain into relaxation using a fake grooming signal. That sounds useful for pretty much everyone, but the research suggests it's especially useful for a certain group of people.
Right. We have to talk about the connection to neurodivergence, specifically ADHD.
Yeah, this is where the fMRI scans get really interesting. If you look at the symptoms of ADHD, insomnia, anxiety, restlessness, not being able to shut off your internal monologue, those are the exact problems people say they're using ASMR to treat.
So is it just self-medication, or is there a real, structural reason why ADHD brains might be drawn to this?
Well, it seems to be structural. There's a study that used fMRI to look at the brains of people who experience ASMR. They found that these brains, a lot like ADHD brains, show reduced functional connectivity in something called the default mode network.
Okay, default mode network. I've heard this term, but let's break it down. What is the DMN actually doing?
A good way to think of it is as your brain's screensaver. It's the network that kicks on when you're not doing anything specific, when you're daydreaming or worrying about the future or replaying some embarrassing memory from 10 years ago.
The chatter network, the inner critic.
Exactly. In a neurotypical brain, when you need to focus, the DMN quiets down. It suppresses itself so you can work. In ADHD brains, that network, it's a bit disjointed, doesn't suppress very well. It just keeps chattering away.
So the radio is always on in the background, even when you're trying to read.
Exactly. So the fact that ASMR-sensitive brains also show this reduced connectivity suggests that ASMR might act as a kind of force quit for that network.
So for someone with ADHD who literally can't turn off that internal noise, the combination of focused attention, the gamma waves, and relaxation basically forces the DMN to go offline.
That's the hypothesis. It gives you an external focus, the tapping, the whispering.
Yeah.
It's engaging enough to occupy your brain, but simple enough not to stress it out. It just pulls you out of that chaotic default mode.
That is huge. It moves it from just a quirky hobby to a potential therapeutic tool, a non-pharmaceutical focus aid.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And there's always a but. If your brain is hypersensitive to sound, that coin can flip the other way. We have to talk about the evil twin of ASMR.
Misophonia.
Yes.
I have a friend with this. If she hears someone chewing gum or clicking a pen, she doesn't get tingles, she gets pure rage.
Like flip the table rage.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly visceral reaction. And the overlap between the two is staggering. One study found that 36% of people with ASMR also have misophonia.
That seems completely counterintuitive. How can you love mouth sounds in a whisper video but want to punch someone for chewing at the dinner table?
Because it's not actually about the sound itself. It's about the sensitivity. Both ASMR and misophonia seem to stem from the same thing: heightened sensory connectivity. The brain is just hyper-aware of these triggers. The difference is how the brain categorizes the signal.
So the volume knob is turned up to 11 for both people, but one person hears music and the other hears a fire alarm.
Exactly. In ASMR, the brain interprets that sensitivity as proximity, grooming, safety. In misophonia, the brain interprets it as an intrusion, a violation, and it triggers a fight or flight response.
Is that just psychological, or is there a real wiring difference there?
Oh, it's wiring. The research shows that misophonia sufferers often have higher levels of myelination in the ventromedial prefrontal cortex.
Myelin is the insulation on the nerves.
Yes. Think of it like a fiber optic cable. The more myelin, the faster the signal travels. So for these people, the connection between their auditory system and their emotion center is a superhighway.
So they go from 0 to 60 instantly.
They feel the anger before they can even process why they're angry. It actually makes me feel a lot of empathy for them. It's not a choice. Their brain is literally hardwired to panic at the sound of soup.
It completely validates the experience. Whether it's the pleasure of ASMR or the rage of misophonia, it's a physiological reality.
Now, we've covered the biology, the evolution, but we have to talk about the medium. Because ASMR started on YouTube, long 40-minute videos. Now it's all over TikTok. And the stack says this is fundamentally changing the whole experience.
It's a massive cultural shift. Traditional ASMR was slow media. It was about duration taking 40 minutes to slowly drift off, a slow burn. TikTok is the opposite. You have, 60 seconds?
So how do you induce a physiological relaxation response, which should take time, in a 15-second clip?
You condense the trigger. It becomes rapid fire. The sources note that creators have had to adapt by making the triggers louder, faster, more visual.
I've seen this. The mukbang food videos are everywhere.
Right. And it's not just eating, it's aggressive eating. The crunch of the pickle, the sizzle of meat, it's quick, loud, and it grabs your attention immediately.
And the role plays have sped up, too. It's like fast cranial nerve exam.
Exactly. It's get relaxed now. And then there's the rise of tapping, where creators just tap their acrylic nails on different surfaces really fast. It's almost hypnotic.
The interesting thing about TikTok, though, is the discovery. On YouTube, you usually have to search for ASMR. You have to know you want it. On TikTok, the algorithm just feeds it to you.
That's the For You page magic. It's acting as a diagnostic tool. People are discovering they have this response because a video of someone cutting kinetic sand just pops up on their feed. They might not even know the term ASMR, but their brain goes, oh, wait, that feels good.
It's democratizing the tingles.
It is, but it's also changing how it's used. On YouTube, ASMR was a sleeping pill. On TikTok, it's more like a stress ball. A microdose of regulation in the middle of a chaotic day. You watch it for 2 minutes on your lunch break to just reset your nervous system.
It's fascinating how the technology dictates the format, but the biological need is still the same. We're just finding faster ways to hack the system.
Exactly. Whether it's a 30-minute video or a 30-second clip, the goal is still sensory regulation.
So let's bring all this together. We've established ASMR is a legitimate physiological response. It lowers your heart rate, creates a unique brainwave state of focused relaxation, and it probably mimics the evolutionary bonding of social grooming.
It's intimacy on demand, a digital solution to a biological need. And I think before we close, we should explicitly address the elephant in the room.
The sexual misconception.
Yes, because that's still the #1 thing people say. Oh, whispering, that's a fetish.
And the research we have today basically puts a nail in the coffin of that theory.
The heart rate data is the smoking gun. In sexual arousal, your heart rate goes up. You're ramping up for activity. In ASMR, your heart rate goes down. It aligns with bonding, relaxation, comfort, what we call affiliative behavior. It's about feeling safe, not feeling stimulated in that way.
It's a distinction that really matters. Because if we see it as a fetish, we miss the point. If we see it as a bonding simulation, well, that tells us something profound about the user.
Absolutely. It changes the whole narrative from perversion to connection.
So here's the thought I want to leave you with. We know now that ASMR is basically a simulation of intimacy, a digital ghost of a friend soothing you to sleep. And we know it lowers our heart rates more effectively than even watching nature.
Which is a powerful and honestly a slightly terrifying statement.
It is. So if millions of people are turning to their screens to watch strangers pretend to brush their hair just to feel calm, what does that say about our current baseline? If we are so biologically desperate for this form of connection that we're now getting it from algorithms and pixels, are we just hacking our biology to survive the modern world? Or are we starving it of the real thing?
That is the question. It's a beautiful solution, but maybe to a very lonely problem.
Something to chew on, preferably quietly. Thanks for deep diving with us.